Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. My name is Muhammad Ali. I am a doctoral student from Universitas Negeri Yogyakarta in vocational education and trainings. Now I want to present my paper that have a title is Evaluation of Indonesian Technical and Vocational Education in Addressing the Gap in Job Skill Required by Industry. In the first slide, I want to show you about the background of TVET in Indonesia. You can see from the picture, based on the report of Directorate of Vocational School Development 2019, Indonesia have more than 14,000 vocational school in Indonesia, and we can show the distribution of the vocational school in 34 provinces in Indonesia. We can see that the West Java, Central of Java, East Java, and North Sumatra is the biggest the number of the vocational school in their district, in their province. And if we detail about the vocational school in Indonesia, we can see that there are more than 1,000 vocational school, or if we compare with the amount of the vocational school in Indonesia, the presentation is about 7.4%. So we can see that the electrical engineering is one of the subject in vocational school to prepare students and graduates. They must already enter the jobs as an entrepreneur in industry, all the other jobs. And if we look at the data in the higher education, based on the Indonesian Directorate of Higher Education, we have more than 5 million electrical study program. We have 5,000 engineering faculty in Indonesia, and in the electrical study program, more than 500 and 166 in electronic program study. And the number of the student, more than 1 million. We can see the graphics about the higher education in Indonesia. There are many types higher education in Indonesia. The first is academic, polytechnic, college, institute, university, and community college. And we see the distribution about the faculty. We can see education, engineering, social science, healthy, economics, agriculture, religion and humaniora, and mathematics and science, and the last is arts. So we can see that the engineering is the second presentation. If we see about the presentation of the student in Indonesia, 20.2%. So this is a significant number for contributing in the national development in Indonesia, especially for economic development. But the reality, if we see about the unemployment in Indonesia, we have the data like this. The graduate from the general education, we see that the unemployment is about 8.72 and then decreased to 8.29 and decreased 7.19 in 2016. But if we see about the vocational school, the number of unemployment more than 11%. Although in 2008, decrease become 8.92. In the higher education, we can see that the unemployment from diplomas or academic in vocational education, we can see that the number of employment increased from 6.04 become 7.92. And if we see in university, usually university conduct the academic, not vocational education. And if we see about the data, the unemployment from university relative low if we compare with the academics or vocational education in higher education. And if we review from the PISA score and rank, Indonesia, we can see that in this table, Indonesia have the 62 rank, yeah, in the world. And we categorize in third level. The first level is the score above the 500. The second level is 450 until 500. And Indonesia in the third level because the score below than 450. And if we review from the Global Competitiveness Index, we can see that Indonesia have the score 38.61. If we compare with the Thailand, Philippines, Brunei Darussalam, Malaysia, and Singapore, the score is too low. Although we have many vocational schools in Indonesia and many university, many academic, many polytechnics, and others educational school, both in academic and vocational school. This is the big problem for us, for Indonesia. Why this is a big problem? Because if we see about the data from PISA, from competitiveness index, from the unemployment, we see that we have the big problem in link and match. Ideally, vocational education in middle education and higher education must have link and match. In what link and match? The first is in type of industry. We must link and match about the type industry with the education. So the graduate from the vocational school, from the university, from polytechnic can get job in the wide industry. And then is location. We must know about the location of the industry and the distribution of the vocational school and academic school. So the need from industry, we can link and match. The third is times. Sometimes the industry need and the graduate from the education, vocational or academic is not same. So sometimes when industry need the employ, the vocational education cannot give the graduate because they are still not graduate. And the fourth is quality. This is the big problem. Many industries say that graduate from education in Indonesia is not matched in quality. The industry needs A, but the vocational education give not A, but the others, maybe B, C, or other. So the industry must train every graduate to ready get a job in industry. So if we say about the link and match, there are many aspects that we must to review. The other is competency of labor needs, the quality, the location, the time, the curriculum, the infrastructure, the teacher, etc. Okay, we can look at the picture about the Indonesian education model. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 education level in Indonesia. The first level is in the kindergarten and the basic education. Kindergarten is not a must for everyone to study in the kindergarten, but in the basic education, everyone must study 9 years. After everyone pass from the basic education, they have two choice: general high school or vocational high school. After they finish in the general high school, they can continue in the university, in the institute, in academic, in college, and in polytechnic. General high school and vocational high school have the same priority. There is no specialty in Indonesia. So graduate from vocational high school can follow in university, and vice versa, the general high school can follow in college. There is no regulation about the specialization. After they pass from the higher education, they can follow in the master degree, both in university or in institute. And after they finish in master degree, they can follow in PhD or doctoral degree. This is the Indonesian model that now we conduct the education. Based of the problem that I was stated in the first presentation, we have a research method about the how to address the gap between industrial need and vocational education and training. The research was starting in the point. For the first time, I have review for the theoretical of TVET, and then I review the TVET phenomena in the world and in Indonesia. I have reviewed the implementation of TVET in America, in Europe, in Asia, and for special in Indonesia. Based on the theoretical review and TVET phenomena, I state a problem for the research. And then I do the research design. For the first time is determine the research subject, and then design the data collection methods, and then develop the research instrument. After the second stage is ready, I follow the third stage about the data collecting, for the data collecting, I have three methods. For the first is observation. I observe in the industry, observe in the vocational education, in polytechnic, in university, in academic, and others. And for the subject in my research is student, technician, engineer, and academic staff or teacher in vocational school and lecturer in higher education and university, polytechnic, and others. After that, we do the analysis. For the first time is data validity test, and then we do the analysis of the data. And then we give alternative solution how to address the gap between industrial need and TVETs. And I develop model for solution. And the end, I make a conclusion. This is the conceptual model how to solve the gap between industry and TVET institution. We know that the industry, they have needs. The TVET, they give a graduates. The industry need have the employment requirement. And if we compare between graduate and unemployment requirement, we have gaps. So we as a researcher must analyze and evaluate the gaps. After we analyze and evaluate the gap, we must coordination TVET and industries. And then we can design the strategy of the link and match how to solve about the gap between industrial need and TVET institution. In conclusion, I will show you about the several aspects that must be improved to solve the link and match for the first time in policy and strategy. Yeah, we must have a good policy and good strategy, how to improve the link and match to solve the problems, how to solve the addressing industrial need and TVETs. So we must have a good policy from the government, especially in higher education, in vocational education, to give a good policy and the strategy how to increase the link and match between TVET and industry needs. The second is the curriculum. As we know, we have many curriculum, but we have still a big problem. The graduate from TVET and the industrial need is not linked and matched. Why? So in this research, we have a solution about how to create a good curriculum. There are many best practices from big industries like in Europe, in America, in Austria, in Australia, in England, English, in Swiss, in China, in Korea, and Japan, and others country in the world. So we can benchmark about the implementation of the curriculum, how we should develop a curriculum for TVET. Because sometimes we don't care about the curriculum of TVET. We prefer to focus on academics education, not in vocational education. So we must revitalize the curriculum in TVET. The third is learning process. Sometimes we don't care about the learning process. As a lecturer, as a teacher, sometimes we teach in academics, education, and vocational education, use the same strategy, use the same model, use the same media, and use the same method to teach student in class, in online learnings, and others. So we must increase about the learning process quality, especially that must use in the vocational education, both in the vocational education, vocational school, and in the higher education. The fourth is partnership. We know that we have big problem about the partnership. Every TVET institution don't have a good partnership with the industry. This is a big problem. So we must increase about the partnerships. Government must give the regulation about the how TVET institution can partner with the industry. Not just a regulation, but government must give force to industry to join with the TVET education. And then for accreditation, in Indonesia, accreditation actually is sometimes we just care about the accreditation when we will follow the accreditation. We must revitalize about the accreditation system in Indonesia, especially for TVET, with join with industry and involve the stakeholder that have known about the TVET. And the sixth is teacher. Teacher is the most significant factor how to increase the TVET education. You know that teachers have a big role in education. They become a teacher, they must teach, they must motivate, they must communicate, they must facilitate and other activities to the student and graduate how to increase, how to improve their competence about the knowledge, skill, and attitude. So the competence of the student and graduates can be used when they enter to the job. And the seventh is culture. Culture is more significant aspect in how to increase the TVET education. Without a good culture, like honesty, like safety, like fidelity, and others aspect of culture. So TVET education must develop the culture in the school, in the university, based on the industrial culture, discipline, yeah, and others aspect of the culture that now the culture is not good in the TVET education in Indonesia. And the last is the infrastructure. Why we let the infrastructure in the last? Because the instructors is just for supporting for the TVET education. Although without the infrastructure, we can increase the quality of education in TVET. But infrastructure have a could significant. If we see in Indonesia, the infrastructure for TVET education is very good if we compare with another country, especially in Asia, in Africa, in South America. Maybe if we compare with the Europe countries and American, maybe it's not too good about the infrastructure. So we must to link and match about the infrastructure in the TVET and industry need. I think this is of my presentation about my paper was titled about the evaluation of Indonesian technical and vocational education in addressing the gap in job skill required by industry. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.